where today we are going to be going over our Week 6 predictions for the NFL season. And before we get into it, quickly checking back on last week. Last week we finished with a 9-5 record. Not bad. That brings our total record up to 48-29. Not too mad about that. But let's get into these picks. First game, Thursday night, Niners, Seahawks. Seahawks coming off of a very tough loss at home to the Giants, and Niners coming off of a very tough at-home loss to the Cardinals. Both these teams looking to bounce back. I think this will be a high-scoring game, as that typically happens with Seahawks games, and the Niners can honestly win low-scoring games and high-scoring games. But I'm honestly going to give this to the home team, as Seattle has such a good home field advantage. This would put the Niners at 2-4, which is crazy. But give me Seattle winning this one 30-27 over the San Francisco 49ers. Then we get to our London game. We have the Jaguars taking on the Bears, the London Jaguars. Jags coming off their first win of the season in a close win over the Colts. Bears coming off of a blowout win at home versus the Panthers. This will probably be towards the lower scoring tier, as the Bears have an amazing defense. Jags defense is not very good, except for their run game, which might help. Their run defense is pretty good, so maybe that can make Caleb Williams have to throw the ball a little more, because he could definitely rely on the run versus the Panthers, but he might not be able to do that versus the Jags. I'm taking, I know this is a little bit of an upset, not the upset of the week, but give me the team that plays in London every single game. Give me the Jags winning this one 20-17 over the Bears. Yes, one of the worst scoring defenses hold the Bears to 17 points. Who cares? We're just picking games here. Next game, probably the game of the week, at least probably the game of the week, is Commanders at Ravens. Commanders on a 4-game win streak, coming off of a blowout win versus the Browns, as well as a blowout win versus the Cardinals. Ravens coming off of a close win versus the Bengals in overtime. They probably shouldn't have won that game. And then before that, they had a blowout win over the Bills. Commanders have the number one scoring offense in football, averaging 31 points a game, while the Ravens' scoring defense, surprisingly, is pretty low, because their pass defense is dead last in the league, 32nd, giving up 304 passing yards a game. However, they have the number one run defense, which is kind of funny that they have the number one rushing defense and the worst passing defense. And the Commanders obviously have the best offense in the league, or at least one of them. Now, when it comes to the other side of the ball, the Ravens' offense is actually second in scoring. So this is literally the matchup of the two best offenses and two bad defenses. So points will be scored, and I honestly trust the Ravens defense and the Ravens home field advantage slightly more than the Commanders defense. So give me the Ravens in a shootout, 35-30 over the Commanders. If you have any fantasy players on the Ravens or Commanders, I'd expect some serious points. Next game is the Cardinals-Packers. Cardinals, as I mentioned, coming off of a very big upset win over the Niners, and the Packers are coming off of a close win versus the Rams, where the Packers' offense looked pretty decent. Tucker Kraft got involved, Jaden Reed, Jordan Love played well, and then the Cardinals coming off of a good game. Kyler, especially on the ground, with that 50-yard touchdown he had. Packers' offense has obviously been very good. Cardinals' offense has, of course, also been very good. Another game here that comes down to the defenses. Packers' defense does force turnovers, but when it comes to yards allowed, points allowed, they're about average. The Cardinals are slightly below average in all aspects when it comes to defense. But I want to pick a big upset, or kind of big upset. So give me the Cardinals as my upset of the week. I'm just feeling it. Give me the Cardinals winning 27-24 at Green Bay. The weather hasn't gotten super cold yet there. So if there's a time for a team like Arizona to pull off an upset in Lambeau, It's at this time of the year, so give me the Cardinals over the Packers. Next game is Texans Patriots. I believe Drake May is the starting quarterback coming into this game, his first start. Well, when we saw him play, I believe that Thursday night game versus the Jets, he played a drive. He didn't look that bad. He had that one pass, which I think was his first pass, where he almost threw a pick straight to the defender. But outside of that, he played pretty well. I just don't think he has the supporting cast at all to do anything versus a good Texans team. So I think this is an easy win for Houston. Give me the Texans 27-17 over the Patriots. Next, we have the Buccaneers taking on the Saints. Saints coming off of a tough loss to the Chiefs. Bucks coming off of a tough loss to the Falcons. Both looking to bounce back here. Saints defense is obviously pretty good. Their offense is still good, even though recently it hasn't been good. I think the reason they're fourth in scoring is because of those two games where they put up a total of 90 points. Because outside of those games, they have scored 12, 24, and 13. They've scored about the same amount of points combined as they did the first two games. Their offense has not even been close to what it was. Bucks offense is pretty good. They've been much more consistent throughout the year. And the main reason, actually, the main thing about this game is Derek Carr may not even play. It might be Spencer Rattler or Jake Haener out there. I don't trust those guys to beat the Bucks. So give me the Bucks 28-17 over the Saints. I do see them scoring a little bit more points if Derek Carr plays. Next, we have Browns-Eagles. Eagles 9-point favorites in this game as the Browns have just not been good at all this year. Eagles actually coming off a bye. So we'll see how that goes. Browns are 30th in scoring and 23rd in scoring defense, while the Eagles are 22nd in scoring defense and 18th in scoring. Teams coming off a bye, they normally have that rest that could get them a win, and I do think it'll be closer than people think because the Eagles just play in close games. Beat the Packers by 5, lost to the Falcons by 1, beat the Saints by 3, and then got blown out by the Bucks. They normally play in close games, so give me the Eagles over the Browns as my lock of the week, 23-17. We get a division game here next between the Colts and the Titans. Titans coming off a bye, which is good for them. They needed something. I know they beat the Dolphins 2 weeks ago, but they needed that rest. Colts coming off of a loss to the Jags, giving them their first win, giving the Jags the first win of the season. Both these teams have not looked great. Both the Titans' defense has been pretty decent. Colts' defense has been bad. Colts' offense has been pretty decent, while the Titans' offense has not looked good. I just trust the Colts a little more, whether it's Joe Flacco or Anthony Richardson. So I'm going to go Colts over Titans 17-13. Another division game here is the Chargers-Broncos. I think this will be a relatively low-scoring game as both teams have really good defenses. If you actually look at the numbers, the Chargers have the number one scoring defense at 12.5 points a game, while the Broncos have the second best scoring defense at 14.6 points per game. And offensively, both teams haven't done much. Now, the Broncos are currently on a 3-game win streak, while the Chargers are coming off of a bye. I just don't see the Broncos being a team that can win 4 straight. And the Chargers are coming off a bye. It's going to be a close one, low scoring. Give me Chargers 20-17 over the Broncos. Speaking of low scoring, we have Steelers-Raiders. If there's one thing I know about Steelers games, it is to lean towards the under. There has not been a single Steelers game where a team put up more than 30 points. The highest points scored in a Steelers game have been 27 and 24, and that was the same game. So when it comes to Steelers games, they are going to be low scoring. They're actually tied second in scoring with previously mentioned Denver Broncos. The Raiders just haven't looked good. whether it's Gardner Minshew, whether it's Aiden O'Connell. They haven't played great. The Steelers, when they are in a game versus a bad offense, which the Raiders are, they normally can pull away with a win based on their decent offense and their really good defense. And the Raiders don't have a good defense either, so I'm actually going to go Steelers winning this one 14-10. I could see them scoring more points, but I just trust a Steelers game will be low scoring. I think this will actually be the opposite. I think the next two games we talk about will be the opposite. First is another division game. All four NFC South teams actually play each other this week. But we got Falcons-Panthers. Panthers coming off a blowout loss to the Bears. Falcons coming off of a close overtime win on Thursday night over the Bucs. Panthers being at home gives them a little bit of advantage to keep this game close, I think. Panthers defense is terrible. Worst, actually, in scoring. Their offense, when they play a bad defense, obviously, their offense is competent. Like, they can put points up. They put points up against the Bengals. They put points up against the Raiders. And the Falcons' defense is nowhere near the Bears' defense, at least as a whole. So I do think the Panthers will be able to make this game competitive, especially because it's a division game and because they're not playing an elite defense. However, I think the Panthers' defense, combined with a good Falcons offense, as well as the fact that the Falcons' defense isn't terrible, I'm going to give the Falcons the edge here in a 30-24 win over the Panthers. Speaking of high scoring, as I mentioned, Cowboys-Lions is our next game, a little Thanksgiving matchup, as these teams play every Thanksgiving. Both teams coming off, Lions actually coming off a bye, but their last game was a very impressive win over the Seahawks. The Cowboys are coming off 2 wins against the Giants and Steelers by a combined 8 points, so they've played in close games. I think this one's close as well. A battle of a really good offense versus an okay defense, and an okay offense against an okay defense. The Lions, statistically, their defense actually hasn't been that bad, but they still tend to give up points, I think. And the Cowboys have a good enough offense, I think. So give me the Lions in a high-scoring game, though, 31-27 over the Cowboys. Bengals-Giants. This is an interesting one because the Bengals, they had their usual bad start. Then they got back on track with a win over the Panthers, but then they lose to the Ravens and fall to 1-4. Giants, on the other hand, are 2-3, with coming off of a very impressive win over the Seahawks. And the thing that's impressed me the most about the Giants has been, outside of Malik Neighbors, has been Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones has played very good football for the Giants this season, outside of maybe that Week 1 game versus the Vikings. And if the Bengals lose this game, it's probably over. Like, I don't see how, no matter how good you are, I don't see how you come out of a 1-5 start. Even if they won every single game from there on out, they would only have 11 wins. And they're probably not going to win 10 straight if they lose this game. However, yes, their defense is terrible, but they're not playing a good offense. Daniel Jones has been impressive, but it's not like the Giants have been lighting it up. So I think this will be a matchup for the Bengals. Their defense obviously will get scored on. It's the Bengals defense. But I do think they will be able to hold the Giants offense enough for their offense to put up the points needed to win. And I have them winning 31-28 over the Giants. Last game is the Monday night game between the Bills and the Jets. Bills coming off of a tough, close loss to the Texans. Jets coming off of firing their head coach, actually, Robert Saleh, as well as coming off of a close loss in London to the Vikings. Now, the Jets, their defense has been amazing. Their offense has not been good. The Bills' offense has been good, and their defense has been pretty decent. Now, I'm pretty sure there's like a tendency or a trend where when a coach gets fired, when the first week of that new interim head coach, the team just plays really good. So I could 100% see the Jets winning this game for that reason. But I just think the Bills, coming off of a tough loss to the Texans, are just too good of a team. And I think they will be able to overcome that potential. I don't even know if this is true or not, but I just swear I've heard of this whole thing of interim head coaches in their first game. I think the Bills will be able to overcome whatever, and I do think they win this one. Close game here, 24-16 over the Jets. And that will officially conclude my Week 6 predictions for the 2024 NFL season. And as always, make sure you leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.